Hi, everyone. Welcome to Low Flute Jazz Improvisation. My name is Virginia Shingleton, and I'm a volunteer with the National Flute Association. The NFA was founded in 1972 as a common ground for flutists to exchange ideas and inspiration. In the years since, it has grown to become one of the world's largest flute organizations, with members from all 50 states and across the globe. We invite all of you to become NFA members if you haven't already and take advantage of our year-round benefits, including a subscription to the Flutist Quarterly, borrowing privileges from our sheet music library, discounted instrument insurance, and more. Visit nfaonline.org to learn more and join today. We'd also like to acknowledge that today's online event is made possible with support from our members, our donors, and the Illinois Arts Council Agency. Thank you, and now I will hand it over to the Low Flutes community.
Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Judy Diezdo and I live in Canada and I am chair of the Low Flutes Committee. I'm in my second year right now and we're a very active, productive committee and we have a good time. And so we're so happy to see all of you and we would love to see your faces, those of you that don't have your cameras on. So don't be shy, you know, we all can't get our hair washed on Sunday morning, so you know, so it's okay. We don't care what you look like. But to first of all, we have quite a few members from our committee here. Sorry, we have quite a few members from our committee here. So I'd like to introduce the ones that are here. We have Dorley McQueen, who lives in Alaska. And Dorley's been on the committee now for almost 4 years. She's getting toward the end of her term. Laura Gustafson, who is from Long Island, and she's still just been in her first year, I suppose. I think so. And then I'm looking for faces. We have Howard McCullers. And Howard is, ooh, nice flute, Howard, outside Washington, D.C. So he joined us also at the International Low Flute Festival. And then Mirane, I saw her. Mirane Shim should still be here. Oh, there she is, sorry. So many faces. And so I think, is that everyone from the committee that made it? Yeah, okay, terrific. So, and then our guest, well, he's actually part of the committee, is Lawrence Liggins, and he's actually our jazz guy. So he offered to do this workshop for playing jazz on low flutes, which I think, since especially at the International Low Flute Festival and at the National Flute Association, we have so many more organizations or ensembles that are getting involved in jazz music. I think this will be very helpful. I know that I was not raised as a jazz player, but I have some friends that are getting me involved more, and it's really fun. It's great. So let me tell you a little bit about Lawrence. Lawrence was actually the co-chair of the NFA Jazz Committee up until 2022. Then he crossed over to our committee, to the Low Flutes Committee. And he's lives in Newark, New Jersey. He's a band director at Arts High School. And he does instrumental band program and the jazz ensemble. He's been playing and involved with many organizations that he may tell you more about. He's played with different ensembles. Some of them I'm sure you've heard at the NFA, the Uptown Flutes, the White House Wind Symphony, Drew University Flute Choir, Flutacious Flute Choir, the NFA Jazz Flute Big Band. And yeah, and so he teaches, and he's going to now teach us a little bit about jazz on the low flute. So welcome, Lawrence.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Judy. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here today, and I'm very excited about today. So yes, if you can share your video, that would be great to see you all. But just just a little bit more to add to what Judy already gave a wonderful background for myself. I started jazz. Well, I'll say my first flute teacher was a jazz musician here in Newark, and I started the flute in the fourth grade. And at that same time, I started lessons, private lessons, So classical music and jazz have been running simultaneously for me. So I've been doing both. And I love both, and I love everything actually. Gospel, country. I think I love all kinds of music. And I think the flute kind of goes along with just about any style of music too. So it's not just jazz, but I love gospel, classical, and jazz, a little country too. I think I don't know if there are any flute country players, but I think the flute would go well in country music too. Um, but so I today what I'd like to do, for me, when I start learning jazz, I my both my parents were music lovers. My father loved opera, but he also has some albums at home that I used to put on the same albums all the time, like Dave Brubeck, and it was the Modern Jazz Quartet. And I used to always play those albums over and over and over again. And we also had a piano because two of my brothers also played piano. So I would get on the piano, and I never took piano lessons. I would just bang out chords on the piano till my mother said, "Stop that, please." I continued with both forms of music genres, and all the way through till now. Um, I did. Let's see. So here in Newark, I couldn't wait till I got old enough to go to a jazz club. There were a few jazz clubs still left here in Newark that you could go to and listen to jazz, and then there were jam sessions that went on. And I was scared to death to go to a jam session and get up there and play. But there were some times I got up there and played and don't remember what I played, or but I just did. You just got to get up. You just got to get up in a jam session. And the more you do those kinds of things, the better you get at it, and you meet other people, and you start, building friendships, and learning more and more about jazz. I did also take some lessons from a workshop that was in New York called the Jazz Mobile, and Frank West was the teacher there. He was the jazz flute teacher. So I went there for about 2 years, and so I continued. That was way back in the 80s. And so I graduated from Mason Gross School of Rutgers University here in New Jersey. And I didn't study jazz, I studied classical music, traditional classical music. But I had lots of friends that played jazz, so that was my connection still to stay involved in jazz. So I've always been playing jazz. So I consider myself a classical jazz musician. There's a lot of overlap in classical music and jazz, and so I'll talk a little bit more about that. But what I'd like to do is the one book that I use a lot is Jamey Aebersold, Volume One, Play-A-Long. If you're familiar with Jamey Aebersold is a jazz educator who's put together, I think he has over 130 books, play-along books. So I don't know how many, maybe about 20, 25 books. Some of them are on jazz technique. Some of them are on particular jazz musicians. I have a bunch of those books. But the book that I do like the most and that we're going to talk about today and focus on is Volume One. Okay, and just if there's probably a range of jazz players here today, um, but we will be starting with some basic things. Okay, um, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm sorry. In the chat. So we could do this two different ways. In the chat, I put some links for PDF of a song that we're going to do today. Impressions by John Coltrane. Also a PDF for Jamey Aebersold Volume One book that we're going to use, and two MP3s. MP3 that goes along with the exercises that we're going to do today, and also an MP3 for impressions. So I think I did this with my school Google account, my school drive. So I have to probably grant access. So if we could go to the chat right now, and then let's take a few minutes and then I'll grant access. Or I can just share my screen. But I did want to have a moment where everyone's kind of working by themselves for a couple minutes. And so it may be beneficial to download the material. So let me open up the my email. And if you can, do I need to repost this in the chat, or does everyone see it in the chat? Everyone sees the links in the chat? Should I repost it? Should I repost the links? Okay.
Yeah, I see somebody's asking for it that
Okay.
that wasn't here right at the first.
Sure. Okay.
So what you're asking is that we go ahead and are we supposed to download the MP3s too, or just?
Yes, there are 2 MP3s and 2 PDFs, and it's done through my school Google Drive, so I know I have to grant access. So if we could take maybe a few minutes to do that, and then we could get started. Okay, so I just posted again, and I'm going to go to my email and I guess click on as much as I can, as quick as I can.
Okay, mine says that I'll get a request sent. You'll get an email letting you know if your request was approved. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm clicking on a bunch of these now. This may take a while. Okay. Oh, you know what? Let's see if this works. Anyone with the link? Okay. So what I clicked on just now is anyone with the link can access. Oh. Questions.
Who's able to get it? Can you just speak up? Just take yourself off mute?
Oops.
Oop, I got one.
Okay.
I was able to get the impressions, but the others are being denied.
Okay, let me
Yeah, that's the same for me, I think.
All right, let me see if I could do this a little quicker. Yeah. All right. Oops. Okay, so the MP3 F minor, E flat, D minor, everyone should have that access. And then the John Coltrane PDF. And then let me try to do the
Yeah, I've got those too.
the see what this one is.
Guessing. Hi, I'm sorry, but where is the link? I don't even know where to access it.
I put it in the chat.
Okay, I don't see it in the chat.
Okay, I can repost that. I can repost.
Thank you. Thank
Sure.
you very much.
All right. So the Aebersold How to Play Jazz should be available now to everyone. And I'm missing one other thing, I think, the play-along for. All right, let me repost the links in the chat. Okay, I just reposted the links in the chat.
Thank you.
Okay, and I think I'm missing one more thing. So there should be access to 3 things right now. I think I'm missing the
Let me see.
I'm not getting the impressions MP3.
right. I think that's the one. Okay, let me go back and do that one. I think that was the other one.
See, now here's the difference between classical and jazz musicians. Classical musicians would be sitting here like so stressed out, and jazz players are, yeah, it's the music's coming.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. Don't worry, the performance will be great, you know.
Yes. Okay. I'm missing one other thing. Okay. There's my mail. I think my mail just disappeared, but let's see. Too much technology.
Okay, while Lawrence is doing that,
Yes.
the upcoming events at the NFA, which is in August 1st through 4th in San Antonio, the Low Flutes Committee will be holding a reading session. And those are always very fun. And we're doing offering a chamber concert that's going to be fabulous. And Mirane and I, we commissioned a new work by Judy Nishimura that will be premiered at the NFA this year.
Okay, everyone should have access to all 4 things. Good? Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right. So thank you for your patience. I knew that was going to take a while. I wasn't really sure. how to set that up, and it's probably better to do it this way than share my screen for everything, because then you can open up things and go along as at your pace for today. So what I'd like to do is go ahead and get started. So if you want to, you can open up the Aebersold How to Play Jazz. I'm not going to share it, so you can open it up individually for yourself, and then go ahead and look at the first page where it says read this first. Do I need to share my screen with anyone? Should I share my screen? Does anyone need me to share the screen? Okay, great. Okay, so so we're gonna go not through everything because we have an hour, but some places I thought that would be really good. So the first part I thought was just this first little bit about this book contains much information. It's not intended that you race through it. Take your time and feel good about not going quickly through the material and ideas I'm presenting. And that's Mr. Aebersold, not me. It has taken years to garner the knowledge which you hold in your hands. Don't expect to assimilate and digest it overnight. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down now to this little bit here, the introduction. So in order to play jazz, there's 5 things listed here for Mr. Aebersold. And that's the desire to improvise, listening to jazz via recordings and live performances, a method of practice, what and how to practice. So I think this is such a valuable method of practicing jazz. A rhythm section with which to practice and improvise. So the rhythm section is provided on the play-along tracks, and we're going to start with that in a minute. Self-esteem and discipline. So we're focusing today on the basic ingredients right here in music are scales and chords. And this is like an overlap into classical music or any type of music. You're going to be practicing scales and chords. And that's not different jazz. Okay, so what I'd like to do, if you can go down to, and I'll tell you what page the exercises start with. On page 11, example 1. So there are 3 keys that we're going to be working with as preparation to move into the piece that we're going to be working on, Impressions by John Coltrane. And so because they're probably different levels, I just wanted to start here, and then I had some numbers to skip to. So you can, so this is the first example that we're going to work on, just the very first one to get started, okay? So what you would need to do is to open up the, it says F minor, E flat minor, and D minor MP3. Go ahead and open it up, and then everyone has their flute out. So this is going to be in concert key. So if you do have an alto, you would have to transpose, but if you, it'd be great if you're using bass or just C flute is okay. And you can mute yourself for this. The exercise repeats 4 times, but you don't have to do it 4 times. And what I'd like to do is in about 2 minutes, or we'll go on to another one before I have you guys start to play. So go ahead and get familiar with the MP3 and go ahead and play through number 1. It is whole notes, but it's just to get you acquainted and get your feet wet with the rhythm track, what it sounds like. And I'll play a little bit on my end too. So those of you that are just joining us, I see that two more people have joined us. Go to the chat. There are 4 links to open up for today. And so what I wanted to start today with is focusing on number 1, just to get your feet wet to hear the rhythm track. But also, if you can go to exercise 3, if you scroll through the book, find exercise 3, 7, 9, and 11 first to start with. And then it goes into eighth notes, and we'll talk about the eighth notes. So on your own, for about a minute or two, pick any one of these exercises to play. Does anyone have any questions, or is everyone okay?
Yeah, I have a question, Lawrence.
Yes.
So, I see the music, but I don't know where, is there supposed to be like a click track or something? Not a click track, but a background?
Yes. There is a so if you look, it'll say on the MP3, it'll say F minor, E flat minor, and D minor. So let me click on this so you can hear what it sounds like.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay,
Yeah, I got it. Thank
you
you.
got it?
Yep.
Okay. And for you veteran players, if you want to go ahead and start soloing, please do.
So then once we get through the whole notes and then the half notes and the quarter notes on exercise 3,
Yes.
then you just start doing whatever you want around the basic.
Yes. So what I'd like to do, because we don't have time to do every one of these things, we'll take, just like your regular practicing, do 1 or 2 a day or a week, or whatever you feel comfortable with. Then you could start improvising based on those patterns. So these are patterns, and those patterns lead into improvisation, which that's the theme of today. So if you want to go ahead and experiment with the thirds and the other patterns, so like 7 is scale in thirds, 9 does up to it's 1, 3, 5, 1. And then 11 goes up to the 9th. And I like that pattern a lot too. So memorize these patterns, because when we get to impressions, I like a few of you to play these patterns over the changes for impressions. Okay, so would anyone like to unmute themselves at this time and say which one that you worked on or improvise something over these changes? Gina, if you're doing alto, you're transposing a fourth.
G minor and G flat minor.
Yeah, so
A flat minor.
Yeah, B flat minor, A flat minor, and G minor if you're using alto today. So I'd like to hear someone share what you've worked on with these 3 keys for now. Any volunteers? Or do I need to go first? Do I have one volunteer?
Okay, since I'm chair, I guess I have to speak.
Okay.
But remember, those of you that just joined, I'm not a jazz player. So I just did the very basics
Yes.
and just did the whole notes and then the half notes and the
Okay.
quarter notes. But yeah, it does, like, it really does pique my interest now to
Yeah.
try and do the scales and thirds.
Yeah.
It's really a good brain exercise too, to remember what your scales were. And
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes.
And it's great to have the rhythm section there to play along with.
yes.
Do you wanna play out just one time through these chords?
I would like to hear someone who's a little more experienced to play. Howard, can you play? Want to play something for
Sure,
us?
I can play.
Thank
Are you
you.
playing bass or what instrument?
I
is it?
have alto.
Oh, you have alto. Okay, so you're transposing.
Okay.
Okay, that's brave.
Let me find. Let me know if you can hear. 1, 2, 1, 2,
Yeah. Woo. Nice. I think you skipped a step, but that's where we're going. That's where we're going. Where you did the changes of the tune, Howard? Did you do the changes on the tune?
Yeah, I didn't play the tune, but I just
Okay.
stayed with G minor and G flat minor.
Okay. We were going to do the three F minor, E flat minor, D for as a preparation to what
Okay.
you just did. But you're a veteran, I see. So how
I'm
about
just a
someone
student
else?
like everybody else.
So how about someone else? Someone else with the three changes. What exercise did you do? And let's hear it. Let's hear it. So it's all about playing today. So you can play straight from the exercises or play something that you improvise. One more person. Okay. Let's do this at this point. Let's go back to the book, and let's take a look at eighth note exercises. And this is page. Where is this? This is page 16 because that's always a question about playing jazz. So if everyone can go to page 16, where there's a description about the eighth note exercises. So I'll read this little blurb above that, and then about eighth notes. So you have played 3 minor scales up and down diatonically scale-wise in thirds and triads and seventh chords and ninth chords. You should also have the 3 scales memorized and become more familiar with the sound, the feeling, the shape, warmth, brightness, and dullness of each scale. You may be thinking of roots as home base, thirds and fifths as family, and sevenths and ninths as more exciting tones you might meet on a weekend. That's interesting. Okay, so eighth note exercises and swing. In order to make eighth notes swing or imply swing, they must be played like an eighth note triplet with the first 2 eighth notes tied together. And this looks like this. So the 2 eighth notes of the triplet tied together and the last eighth note of the triplet separate. But it's actually written, they're written like regular eighth notes, or dotted eighth followed by 16th. So Mr. Aebersold says, don't divide the eighth notes into 2 equal parts, divide into 3 equal parts with the first 2 eighth notes tied together. The above rule is a must if you ever hope to convey a relaxed feeling to the listener. So from now on, interpret all eighth notes or dotted eighth note 16ths like triplets with the first 2 triplets played together. So if you look at the first exercise, example 12, if you were to play those eighth notes straight, it would sound like this. So to swing it, I'm going to make the first eighth note a little longer than the second one. And that's the eighth note feeling when you're playing jazz, when you're swinging it, called swinging. There's sometimes in the music we'll say even eighths, and then you would play it evenly. But most of the time when you're playing the jazz and you have eighth notes, you would swing them. So take a look at, there's going to be the same backing tracks, but take a look at examples 12 through 20 now. And take a little bit of time looking at these exercises that involve the eighth notes and try swinging them. And I'd love to hear someone play one of the exercises with swinging eighth notes. And let me find...
Lawrence, is there?
Yes.
Can you play the back?
Which one?
Can you play the backtrack with us while we look at our music? Because
yes, I can. And
switch back and forth on my computer.
okay, so what I'll do is I'll play my backing track and you guys read the PDF, okay? And then you don't have to switch back and forth.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me find that and I'll let it run for a little bit, okay? All right. One, two, three, four. Cool. All right. Nice. Okay, how was that?
1, 2,
Ah,
1,
stop.
2, 3, 4.
Don't go on. Okay. I'd like to hear someone else play now. We heard from how you can play the exercise. Just play the exercise. You don't have to improvise anything yet. You can play just from the exercises. All right, I need a volunteer, or else I'm going to have to call on someone. Who am I going to call on? Let's see, Yvette. Now, can you unmute yourself?
I definitely don't want to play because I'm on an alto and I'm not transposing well.
Oh, okay. Do you have a C flute nearby or a bass nearby?
No, I don't.
Okay, okay. I completely
Sorry.
That's okay. It's a good way to work on transposition too.
Yes,
If
I
you
will
do
need
have
to
an
work on that.
alto,
Yeah.
yeah. That's another great thing about these exercises is to work on some of the books. The exercises will go into all 12 keys, and then you can start in that key for the alto and go on through the patterns that way too. Yeah. But this particular book is everything's all in C. But there are Aebersold books that have the patterns. Well, I'll say some of them will have patterns in the different keys, but some of them you do have to transpose. Like they're like volume the 2571. Everything is written out in key of C, and you have to transpose those patterns in other keys too. So it's a good way to start working on that. But yes, okay. One person, one person. Okay.
What
So,
about Angelina? Is she a jazz player?
and you don't have to be a jazz player to do what we're doing today.
What if would two people do it? If one person just played read off one of those music lines and somebody else who wants to experiment over them play that.
Okay, we could
Or
do that.
even 4 people.
We could do that too. We could do that so no one
Does
is
that work?
playing alone by themselves. But I don't know how that would come out with more than one person playing at a time if
Yeah.
someone would be blocked out from their sound.
Okay, I will give it a try.
Oh,
Yay!
Angelina said she doesn't have the book yet, Lawrence. She
What's
Um,
that?
Let me repost in the chat then all the links for what we're working on today, what we're using today.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So I can either just listen or I can either just look, but it's hard. I'm not going to get both of them together.
Okay, so should I play the backing track from my computer, share it with you, and then this way you don't have
Yeah,
to,
because I've been, trying to figure that out for like the last 15 minutes, and I obviously don't know what I'm doing.
yeah, that's the other thing. So there are CDs that go along with this book, and then I download
Right.
everything on the computer. But you have to hit the recording and then be ready to play. And there's a count off, but you only get, like
Right.
one measure count off. All right,
Okay.
so let
What
me,
I'm going to do is I'm going to put, so I'm reading off example 13. Is that right?
okay, yes. I mean, whichever one you want to do.
Oh, right, because it's all the same chords.
Yes, it's all the same chords. Okay, let me share my screen with you, and then I'll cue up the music.
One, two, three, four.
How's that?
Good.
All right, that's all I got. I am a classical musician, so this is like me stretching out of like completely out of my comfort zone. All right, cool.
Okay, let me pause.
So yeah,
Great.
taking that into like no man's land, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, so you don't have to always practice with backing track. Am I still sharing, or why is that not? Oh, there it is. Okay, so you can play without the backing track just so you get the sound of these patterns in your ear. So for example, if you were doing let me pick 15. 15 is a nice one. So 15. Now that's just the first pattern, F minor. So what I would do to like start to springboard from that, I would use that same pattern and then add a few notes, like passing notes in there or some other notes. So I could add So all I did was just take that same basic pattern and just add a few notes at a time till you get comfortable doing that kind of thing. So use the patterns as a springboard to your improvisation. And that's what these patterns are for, just to kind of get you started, and get your ear and get your fingers and all that kind of stuff happening. Um, and so what I'd like to do, because we're getting close on time, is to actually go to the tune Impressions. So if everyone can cue that up for themselves. Because this is the tune I wanted to work on today. And I know we're running a little short on time, but I tell you what, let's do this first. Let me, just in case someone is new to this tune, let me play a little bit of recording for you. But this tune works with two of the chords that we're working on today. Okay. So this tune is by John Coltrane, and we'll hear a little bit of it. Okay, so I'm going to stop it there because it's a really long solo, but that's the melody. And then, so let's play the melody now, and then we can work on a few solos for this tune also. So go ahead and open up the PDF for yourself of Impressions by John Coltrane, and I'll pull that up myself to share with you, just in case anyone's having a little difficulty with that. So a lot of tabs open here. Okay. All right, here we are. All right, so this is the tune Impressions by John Coltrane. And let's see. I'll play it just for you so you know how it goes. that's the basic tune. And so for those of you that are looking at jazz for the first time, right above the melody are the chord changes. So you're in D minor for, these first 16 bars. And then you're going into E flat minor for 8 bars, and then back to D minor for 8 bars. And that's what's down here at the bottom. D minor, 8 bars, D minor, 8 bars, E flat minor, 8 bars, and then D minor, 8 bars. And those are, we've actually started working on those scales and patterns with the 3 keys that I shared with you from this book. So go ahead and take a minute or two and play. I can play the MP3 for you, so you don't have to switch back and forth. Okay, so let me stop sharing for a moment, and then let me pull up the MP3 for you. So here's the well, let me share my screen.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Let me start it again.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So I'm going to pause it there. And so what I would do to start learning how to solo on this tune, I would take one of those patterns. Okay, I'm going to wind this back. I'll take one of those patterns that we were working on and play it over the head of the tune, the changes of the tune. So that's what I'll do right now for you.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
And so then after I got comfortable with that pattern, with the changes, then I started playing some other stuff. I'm going to pause it there because we're running out a little bit of time. So that's a little bit of how I would take those patterns and then use the patterns as a springboard to go into building up my own improvisation. And so, you know, there's a lot of stuff in the book. You know, it goes step by step, and we only touched on a few things. It's just like, you know, if we opened up the Tap Now Go Bear book and did 2 or 3 exercises out of that book. And that's another thing. Once you start, I know we're running out of time, but start building up what's called vocabulary and language for yourself. And the way I do that is to listen to other soloists play a particular tune and try to transcribe what they're playing. And on the internet, there are like hundreds, there are literally hundreds of transcriptions of things, so that you can use as examples for soloing. Okay, so I hope this was helpful today for those of you that are, you know, at whatever level of jazz improvisation. And I saw that. And definitely, so a lot of these Jamey Aebersold books, they're digital, so you can download them. You don't have to buy them anymore. Originally, they were albums, and then I think cassettes and DVD books with DVDs. So they're digital now, so you could just like download them, and you don't have to go anywhere. But definitely listen, and just keep at it. It just keeps growing as you do it, you know. So thank you all today. I'm glad to have been able to do this presentation with you all today.
Yeah, thank you, Lawrence. Thank you, Lawrence Liggins, our jazz specialist. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And from the Low Flute Committee, we thank you so much for attending and joining us in this session. And hopefully we'll see you in August in San Antonio.
Yeah, and just one other thing, you should be able to download the things that I shared with you today to save it. So definitely download it and just start working on these things. You can take
if you haven't done it, you better do so now, because I think I'm assuming once the meeting officially ends, then you won't be able to download them. You can always email me, Lawrence, whoever, and we'll get
Yes, let me put my email in the chat right now. I'll do that right now before we have to cut off. Okay, so please feel free to email me, and then just let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to share anything with you that we worked on, or just about anything anyway. Thank you.
Okay, and committee, I'll be sending you an email tomorrow. So thanks so much, Lawrence.
Thank you all. Thank you, everyone.
Have a
Okay,
good
I'll
Sunday.
go ahead and close this out.
Hope to see you soon. Okay.
Right. Thank you again to the Low Flute Committee, and thank you everyone who attended today's online event. A recording of this event will be published on the NFA YouTube channel later this week. If you'd like to see the schedule of our upcoming online events, visit nfaonline.org/events. To learn more about other news and events, be sure to follow us on social media at NFA Flute or visit our website at nfaonline.org. Thank you again.